What's going on? Welcome back to another episode of the Your Everyday Strength podcast. My name is Josh Sternberg. And if you are just joining us for the very first time, welcome. If you are returning and you've listened before, thank you very much for fucking being here. I appreciate you. Today's episode is no real theme, honestly. It is fucking discussing APL Nationals 2025. Today is 27th of August, Wednesday, and just wrapped up over the weekend. Was down in Melbourne from last Wednesday until Monday. And honestly, APL Nationals is one of those weekends that just keeps getting bigger and better and bigger and better and bigger and better every single fucking year. Now, fortunately for myself, I went to, I guess, what could technically be considered as like the first iteration of APL Nationals, as like it's kind of started to become known as, in terms of, as far as I'm aware from memory, it was one of the first times that they had like a location, just like a place that they could actually go to that was not at a gym. It was not just like, you know what I mean? From memory, I can't even think of the fucking location. It was like the Meriton on the Gold Coast, or something like that. It was cool. It was really cool. I remember hearing about it. I remember being told, hey, we're going to have APL Nats at this event. I'd actually qualified the year before, but unfortunately, due to COVID lockdowns and like COVID rulings, it was eventually canned, and that event was then turned into Strength Quest, which it's now known as, and still runs at Zero Weakness here on the Goldie every single year. And as that in itself has actually grown to a really fucking big comp as well. So I actually qualified originally in my very, very first qualification process back then was a hell of a lot easier than it is now. And I remember going to that and I was like, fuck yeah, this is sick. Like, it was like my second or third comp. I'm going to Nats, you know, the big stage, like all that sort of shit. And it was really fucking cool. And then from there, I've been fortunate enough to be involved within, powerlifting since then, taking multiple athletes. So when it was held there, I had 2 other people competing. And then they also held IPL Worlds at that exact same venue a few months later. And again, I had 2 or 3 athletes competing at IPL Worlds, which was really fucking cool to me. I was still fairly fresh within the powerlifting world, within the powerlifting scene, especially as a specific powerlifting coach. So to have a couple of athletes go to Worlds, one of whom did quite well indeed, was a really fucking cool feeling. And I remember then the next year they were talking about, making it a little bit bigger, a little bit better. And then I moved up to Brizzy, which was the multicultural center, where it was held for 2 years. And I just remember going to that first year and I was like, fuck, this is bigger. Like, it's bigger, it's better. I was fortunate enough to take a bigger team along with me. And that event in itself, like the caliber of lifting and the people that were competing had improved so much since the first year that I competed. And then they went and did it again the next year, and it somehow again got bigger and better. And I was like, fuck, it's actually like grown so much. And especially like just the lifters and the standards had just grown so fucking much in 12 months. Like, it was genuinely night and day. The weight classes were just stacked. There was fucking people coming from like all of these other federations and things like that had never competed in APL before, because it was starting to get like a hell of a lot of buzz around it as, one of the fastest growing federations within Australia. And I would arguably say it's probably the biggest federation within Australia, especially within powerlifting. And it's been really fucking cool to see. Like, fortunately, from first year, I think, as I mentioned, I had 2 lifters. And then the second year, I'm pretty sure off the top of my head, I believe I had like 6. And then or 5 or 6. And then last year, which was 2024, I took a team of 9 along. That was held over 4 days. So that was a fucking big weekend. Like 9 athletes over 4 days. it was massive. Like, it was such a big weekend. But the energy and the vibe and like everything about it just fucking keeps you going, because you roll in, and as coaches, it's really cool because for us, it's like a little bit of a social thing too, right? We're obviously there for work. We're there to help our clients and handle our athletes and all the rest of it, or help out wherever we need to. But in saying that, like, we're also, it's like a networking event. It's like a little conference for all the powerlifting coaches from around Oz that you've either met or you haven't met, but you know them through Instagram, and you kind of feel like you know everyone to some degree, and you've been fortunate enough with the world the way it is with social media and things like that. You've got to watch them or their lifters or whatever's going on, like just sort of progressing to get to that point. I mean, I can only realistically speak for myself when I say this, but as a coach, there's nothing I actually love more than watching lifters achieve things they never thought possible, whether that's a client of my own or other clients of other coaches. I just fucking love watching people turn up and just exceed expectations that they have on themselves. Turn up and just fucking blow it out of the water. As I mentioned, like, the level of competition has just gone fucking ballistic. And that in itself has realistically just raised the standard of everyone from a technical perspective, but then also from like a physical perspective too, from strength. Like, the standards are just so much higher now. It's so much more competitive. And I know this year as well, like 2025, has probably been the most competitive and hotly contested to get into, which I genuinely believe that's how a national event should be. Now, I'll be real, I probably didn't deserve to be at Nationals 2022. If they'd had the level of competition they did now, I wouldn't even fucking remotely have been invited. But it was just the fact that there wasn't that many people. And, you know, in my flight, in my like class back then, there was only 3 other people besides myself. And, you know, I came third out of 4. But the 2 who beat me were just so much further ahead than I was, that it was like, it's kind of just there for a little bit of a consolation prize, something cool to do. But yeah, you get what I mean. Whereas this year, like, actually having spots be like super contested and people like vying for position, unfortunately having some people miss out, it sucks. But at the same time, it's also really fucking good for the sport, because growing up playing sport my whole life, like, there's times you don't make the team. There's times you don't make the rep team. There's times you aren't the best. Or there's times that, like, you know, you put in all of this fucking effort and unfortunately it doesn't necessarily pay off on the day. But that is sport. Like, that's athleticism. That's how it's supposed to be. I don't think any form of sport should just be basically a fucking participation medal. You turn up and you place. I do believe the standard should be constantly increasing. I do believe that it should be highly contested. And I do believe that it should be fucking hard to work towards. Like, to call yourself a national level athlete, it needs to be worked towards. You shouldn't just be able to rock up and be like, oh, I'm a national level athlete because, like, there's no one else in my fucking weight class or age category or whatever the case might be. So, although it was disappointing, and unfortunately myself, I also did have a couple of clients who missed out. I do believe that in itself should either light a fire up people's asses to then push themselves harder to try and qualify for the next one, or it'll just drive the level of competition more, because now people actually have a little bit more of importance around the qualification process and importance around what it actually means to be a national level athlete. There's very few other sports that you can essentially just participate in it and you qualify for nationals. Like, there's probably none anywhere else in the world, except like some weird ass, I don't know, generic sports or some shit. But that's just my take on the qualification process. I obviously can't speak for everyone on that. But for me, I think it was done quite well. I do believe that it's only going to continue to push. Having it down in Melbourne this year at the exhibition center is wild. Like, genuinely, to think of the fact that, like, a sport such as powerlifting can go and hire out 2 full halls at the Melbourne Exhibition Centre is actually insane. Like, it is such a big achievement for the sport as a whole. It's a massive achievement for APL. Like, they constantly just increase the caliber of it every single year. And they genuinely do give a fuck about the lifters, because they would, like, there's no way a federation or people or an organization or anything like that are going to go and spend the money that it probably cost to go and rent somewhere like Melbourne Exhibition Centre if they didn't give a fuck about making the lifters experience bigger and better, and the audience's experience bigger and better, and just everything about it bigger and better. And I know that, I'm going to go into a couple of the little things that I noticed from like a coaching perspective, spectator's perspective, etc., etc. Not necessarily criticisms, but like maybe just highlight a couple things that I noticed myself personally and had conversations with others that they noticed as well. But like, it's just really fucking cool to see. It really is. And I truly hope that I get to go to nationals every single year with a team and continue to just fucking help grow the sport. Because at the end of the day, like, a rising tide lifts all ships. And the more people we can get into the sport, and the more we can start to push the level of what it means to be an athlete, a competitive athlete, a national level athlete, etc., the more serious it's going to get taken. National, like, powerlifting has changed so much since even I first become involved. And it's no longer the sport of like the fat, overweight, fucking bearded up, bald dude in the corner. There's still absolutely those type of competitors. But now it's like actual athletes, like people who, if you saw them, you're like, holy fuck, that dude is jacked, or that chick is fucking yoked. Like, these people are actual athletes. They take their training seriously. They take their nutrition seriously. They take their recovery seriously. Like, a lot of the athletes who are competing nowadays, they have training coaches, they have nutrition coaches, they work with a team of physical therapists, whether it's like physios or osteos or whatever the case might be. Like, they have these full teams of people behind them. They're getting sponsorships. Like, it's actually becoming a viable option to be a powerlifting athlete. And yes, at this point in time, it is probably still reserved for the top percentile of people, but at the same time, it probably should be. Like, not every single person who plays AFL gets paid to do so. Not every single person who plays rugby league or netball or whatever gets paid to do so. And we accept that, like, it's going to only ever be like the top fucking echelon of people are going to get paid to be professional athletes at the end of the day. So we should accept that with powerlifting too. The prize money that's getting given away, the sponsorships that are getting given away, the weekend as a whole. Now, if you weren't there, or even if you were there, you would have seen there was 2 platforms. They had various other events going on in the second room, from strongman, arm wrestling, Olympic weightlifting. There were stalls. There were all of these just different activities going on. There was so much happening. There was also a furry convention, which was weird as fuck. But anyway, it had nothing to do with APL Nats. I just thought it deserved a mention, because if you were there, you understand. It's so weird. But hey, good on them. Yeah, it's a convention. It's a fucking actual strength convention. And I know that based upon this year and based upon seeing the trajectory of how APL has grown and the level they want to continue to push it to over the last like 4 years, that next year I can just only imagine how fucking good it's going to be. And I'm excited by that. I'm really fucking excited and keen as to see it. It's just one of those weekends that I just fucking love as a coach. Now, I did mention it. I was going to, throw my 2 cents into the ring about a couple of things that I saw over the course of the weekend. I said, not necessarily criticisms, but like maybe just some things to note. And I know that APL will put out feedback forms, and they will ask the lifters, they'll ask the coaches, they'll ask everyone around, hey, what did you like? What didn't you like? They'll take feedback from people. And every single time I've seen them do this, they've gone and done the thing. They've gone and implemented it or changed it or adjusted it or tried to make it better and better and better and better. So first thing, from a spectator perspective, the 2 platforms, fucking amazing. Anyone who goes to a powerlifting comp knows how fucking boring it can be. When you have one person lifting at a time and you have to wait for the next lifter, and then you wait, and then you wait. Like, you spend so long waiting, and the day can seem to drag on. That did not happen. Now, Friday afternoon, I didn't specifically have any lifters myself competing, but I still went in there because I just wanted to catch a vibe, like see what it was like, see how the two platforms was working, see how the warm-up room was working, all this, that, and the other. And watching it, like having the two platforms, fucking amazing. One person was lifting, and then before you knew it, the next person was lifting, or they're both lifting at the same time. That was cool. That was really fucking cool. I liked that. I really thought that was well done from that regard. I was a little bit worried about how the two platforms was going to work, mainly because with my next bit, I had two athletes competing on the Saturday afternoon. So from, as I said, spectator perspective, two platforms, outstanding. Coaching perspective, two platforms, bit of a fucking nightmare. Having one client doing one lift on one platform and then another client doing another lift on the other platform, nearly missing both of my clients at least once of their lifts because the other one was lifting at that exact same time, having to warm one client up for one lift while one client's out on the platform lifting, and like literally sprinting between either the platforms or from the warm-up room to the platform. And all of that was actually quite hard. Now, I only had two. I'm sure there was probably coaches who maybe had more, and they might have experienced that. They might not have. It again depends on how the flights were structured and all that sort of thing as well. That aspect of things was a little bit harder to deal with. And coaching is already stressful, can be stressful. So then having to sort of juggle that on top, and like this ties kind of into the next thing. I found myself personally, I found it harder to deal with. It also didn't help the lifting cast because it wouldn't auto refresh. It had every single person's name from day 1 to day 3. Anytime you wanted to see it, you had to physically refresh, either go to the top, then you'd have to scroll to wherever your athlete was, or then fly it and try and keep on top of that. There wasn't anywhere out the back or set up anywhere that actually showed the flight orders. There didn't have like just info that would probably help the coaches more than anything. And I mean, I guess at the end of the day, like, yes, as coaches, we accept that it's our responsibility to keep on top of all of this and things like that. But sometimes it would just be nice to have a little bit of assistance in that process because, some coaches I saw over the weekend, like as I said, I brought 9 athletes last year. Like some coaches probably brought more this year. So when you have multiple athletes and you're trying to manage everyone, it can be stressful. So having an easier ability to help keep on top of everyone is only going to help coaches. The more that can help coaches, the more athletes and lifters coaches can try and bring to the platform and to have competing on the day, which again is only going to increase the size of the sport and just make it more competitive, more professional, more well-structured kind of thing, right? Foregoing any of the technical difficulties that occurred from like day 1, etc. Because again, it's a learning curve. There's probably a lot of things that are going to go back, be refined, and come back bigger and better the next year. The other thing I noticed with like relation to the system is that it was very confusing for people in the audience and actually people lifting, because one of the TVs on the left side showed the results and the lights for the people on the right side. So there was more than one occasion where people had finished their lift and they got whites, but they actually didn't get whites. They got reds on their platform. So they're excited and they're happy. And then all of a sudden they get that taken away from them. And on the flip side of that, there was times when it showed reds and the person got incredibly upset. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, no, actually that was whites. Like, that was fucking confusing. That confused me multiple times. I know it confused a lot of athletes. I know it confused a lot of lifters. I know in the end, the crew, the spotters, loaders, etc., they ended up having to actually almost go out of their way to organize the lifters' order, because the coaches and as lifters, we actually physically couldn't fucking figure out who was next, where they were, who was doing what. It was quite hard and confusing. And as I said, the spotters, loaders, etc., they ended up just sort of taking charge of that and being like, all right, next up is this person, next up after that is this person, which that worked well. But the spotters and loaders already have like a hard enough job as is, shouldn't necessarily be needing to organize the lifters as well. There's probably another way that that can be done. In saying that, the stream and the like lifting overview and the stats and the graphs and all that was fucking sick. That was so fucking cool. Having like stats of failed thirds or like their best lift and their percentage of what they've got and their progression over the course of the years. That was so fucking cool. And that in itself just raised it up another caliber of like, hey, this is actually becoming a sport. This is a genuine professional sport that is emerging and will only get bigger. I thought it was fucking cool. I love that sort of stuff. I love seeing where people have come from to where they are. You know, there's been some athletes who have been competing in APL for almost as long as it's been a federation. You know, shout out like Ishbel and Chris Thomas and Cal Rowston and all of them. Because you got to see a really fucking cool graph. Like, it was sick to just see progression of some of these people over the course of the years and like see where they've come from. So I absolutely loved that. The only criticism is that live streaming and also on the screen, sometimes the stats would stay up while the person was actually lifting. So you didn't actually see them lift. You missed their lift because the stats were showing in front of them. And that was hard to be like, well, we missed it, but we can see their stats kind of thing. Very minor, but that was just something. But yeah, as I said, lifting cast, very hard to keep up with. I don't know how to fix that. I've not personally used lifting cast much myself. I believe we've used it before, maybe even APL Nationals last year. And I think it actually worked a bit better just because there wasn't so many names on it. Like maybe it was able to auto refresh a little bit better or something along those lines. Really not sure. And I'm sure that, again, like it's going to be something that they'll address and fix up next year. That, again, it's like just something minor. It's just helping ease coaches' minds and brains and trying to work it all out at the end of the day, especially for the coaches who have clients who are like competitive, like at the top end. Because when you're trying to play the game, it was very, very hard to play the game on that day with lifting cast. Whereas I believe open lifter or whatever the other one is a little bit better because it comes up with, you know, dots. It comes up with like their place-ins. I did like lifting cast, how it had like place-in, forecasted place-in, etc. That was cool. Again, not exactly sure how to fix that. I don't know the intricacies of the programming. But yeah, the next thing, and this is something I know a lot of people have spoken about. This is something I have seen already on social media that has been quite highly contested. I know there was a lot of discussions over the course of the weekend about it, and that was the consistency of some of the reffing calls. Only really in squats. Deadlifts, I fucking were bang on. I had a client who got done for hitching, and I straight up said, I was like, no, that was hitching. Like, you did that. You absolutely deserve reds for that. They've made the right decision on that. Bench calls were fucking consistent. Sometimes was a little bit longer, but again, like everyone's iteration of what the rules are going to is going to be slightly different. But I think that for the most part, the bench calls were quite good. The deadlift calls were fucking great. They were perfect from what I saw from both my lifters, other people's lifters, etc. The squat depth calls, I think, were probably, it was varying levels of like really, really strict or just relaxed. And it really did depend upon who was the side refs at that point in time. I'll call an apple. If it's fucking high, it's high. We have a standard that we want to keep, and we don't want to, you know, we never want to see shit posted online and be like, how the fuck did this get whites? Like, how high do they want to be? Blah, blah, blah. And then, you know, it reduces the like professionalism of the sport. But I think if we're going to have it as set as one standard, it has to stay that standard, because I don't think I've ever seen that many people bomb on squats. Now, unfortunately, I did have a client bomb on squats. Her first squat was high. Said that to her. Second squat, got red lights. I'm not going to dispute it. The refs obviously have to make a split second decision within that moment. I didn't necessarily think it was, but that's fine. And then the third one, she just didn't stand up, and that is fine. The spotters and loaders were fucking outstanding over the course of the weekend. They are always so fucking good. Spotters and loaders at APL have to be the best I've ever seen in any competition, in any federation, all of it. They are fantastic. There's nothing you can fault about that crew. They're fucking awesome. But I did have another client who went 1 from 3 on squats. And this is a dude who trains with people who compete in APA. We're all very quick to say APA is so fucking strict on depth and all of this. And he's been told his squats are really, really good in that federation. But then getting called for depth here, and it was like, looking at it from the side, looking at it from the front, looking at it from every angle we could possibly on videos, and just physically not understanding how he was supposed to get any deeper. But then seeing other people who were genuinely squatting higher, getting whites, it was a bit of pill to swallow, because it was like, I, as a coach, I obviously have to be there to help my client no matter what happens, whether it's good, whether it's bad. I have to be there to help them through that. I have to change their mindset. I have to push them through to continue to progress through to the end of the day. It's hard when a client turns around to me and goes, how the fuck was I not at depth, but that person is? And I just have to go, I don't know where. I believe there might have been a rule change at the start of this year or something with relation to how depth was checked. I just think, and this is my only thought process, it's not necessarily a criticism, it's not necessarily a negative, but if so many of these people have qualified for Nats, they've clearly passed and gotten whites. To then see so many people bomb on squats or get like reds for depth, it doesn't add up. Like, it just doesn't. And I think that's, I've seen a lot of people talk about the same thing. I believe if it's going to be strict, fucking amen, sweet as, keep it consistent. But then if you've got like some people who are strict and then some people who are a little bit more relaxed, I know that at the end of the day, it's supposed to go, like, if it's a little bit of a split decision, it's meant to go in the favor of the lifter, like, the benefit of the doubt. But again, I'm not a ref. I have done the ref course. I do not ref regularly within comps 9 times out of 10, because I'm working with clients and I physically don't have the time to. So I appreciate the fact that there are people who turn up to these comps purely just to ref, and they are there all fucking day watching hundreds of lifters over and over and over. I get it. It's tiring mentally, physically, etc. So I appreciate the fuck out of them. Without volunteers, without people who are doing those roles, there is no sport. There is nothing. Like, there's just nothing. So again, it's not a criticism specifically of the refs, because they're just there doing their best on the day. I just think as a whole, like, there could be a little bit more clarity around, like, this is depth, this is not. This is exactly where it is. This is like, there's no gray area. It's like, it's this or it's this. And that just needs to be consistent. And I think that, doing that would make the experience a lot better. It just offers a little bit more objectivity in terms of, like, even from a coaching perspective, as I said, like, I'm straight up. I will say to my client, hey, you were squatting too fucking high. Fix it. Like, let's work on it. That's our responsibility as coaches, is to ensure our lifters are squatting to standard, or, lifting to standard throughout the entirety of a prep, or as best as we can. At the end of the day, as coaches, we can't do the lifting for them. And some onus does fall on the athlete itself, but we obviously want to make sure our clients do as best as they can to actually get through. Now, that's enough of that, because honestly, like 99.99% of it was so fucking positive. Like, it was just such a sick event. It was really cool to see. It was really fun to be a part of. I am so excited to see how they just increase it next year. I would love to see it become bigger than Arnold's. I was never fortunate enough to be around when the Arnold's was on, but I've heard so many really cool stories about Arnold's, and when they had Pro Raw there, and I'd love to see this just grow and grow and grow and just continue to get bigger and better. Now, on my athletes specifically, I was proud of each and every one of them. I mentioned that one of my clients bombed, and I'd actually never had a client bomb up until that point. So I was pretty, that's 5 years nearly I've been involved in total in powerlifting. So I was actually like I thought I'd done pretty well up until that point. That for me was tough. I really do give a fuck about my clients, like a lot, and I really care about how they perform. And I took that on as a personal thing on myself, that I had done something wrong, and there was something I can do better. Although it really made me sit and very quickly evaluate, like, what do I need to do better as a coach to ensure that this never happens for a client again? Because it was really tough to see. It was something I wouldn't wish on any person who's turning up to these events. But ultimately, at the end of the day, like, it is what it is. It's one of those things that's probably going to happen to a majority of people. I've gone fucking 1 from 3 on squats and nearly bombed before. Like, I get it. I know how it can happen. And I know the feeling that it sucks when it does. I had one of my clients go 3 from 9. And just on the day, that just fucking some of the things we put together just hadn't necessarily come to fruition. They were still only 12.5 kilos off of their all-time best off 3 lifts, which cannot fault him. He did so fucking well. We've already sat down, we've assessed, we've talked about a plan. We're going to be fucking running it back. We've got the next comp lined up. We've already identified what we need to work on and how to be better to ensure that that never happens again, and that we can showcase the lifting that he is capable of, because he's such a fucking capable lifter. I had Kiva, who anyone who knows Kiva knows that he's probably the nicest dude in powerlifting. I've been fortunate enough to work with him since he was 15. He's 21 now. This is now our 3rd or 4th nationals together. He took out first place juniors under 90s, second place opens under 90s, 710 kilo total, and just fucking killed it. So proud of him, so proud of the growth. And again, him and me and nutrition coach George, we've fucking planned it out. We know what's coming up next. We know what we need to do to continue to push the envelope and ensure that next year when we go back, we give him every possible chance to take the gold in both, because he's going to do it. Like, I'm not even going to sit there and be like, oh, we hope that, no, next year Kiva's winning. And that's all there is to it. We know for a fact he can do it. He came second by 2.5 kilos. So not far away from where he could possibly be. And then my other client, Caleb, we were essentially just competing to compete. He had decided now that he's lost a little bit of love and passion for powerlifting. And I've done full write-ups. They'll be on my Instagram. So you can go along and read any of my clients if you like. But we got on a call after his last comp, Christmas Cup, and he said, hey, coach, like, I think I'm done for now with powerlifting. I just don't have the same love and drive for it anymore. So I want to do nationals because I really want to, cement our time together. But beyond that, I'm going to take a step back and not compete anymore. And that was so fine. I've worked with Caleb since his very, very first novice comp. I was his first ever coach for powerlifting, and we've worked together now for the better part of 4 years or so. I took him to his first novice comp. We've now competed at nationals twice together. And every single time he's just turned up and done the thing, despite every single hurdle that arises through a prep, despite anything that might go wrong, he just continues to show up and do his thing with a smile on his face. He's probably one of the calmest lifters I've ever had to work with. I never have to worry about calming him down. I never have to worry about him being nervous or anxious or anything like that, because he just turns up, does the thing, and does it really fucking well. And I was super proud of him. I was super proud of every one of my athletes over the weekend. Bombing, not easy, but Kylie turned around, she took a breather, went for a walk, came back, finished off the day. Like, a lot of people in that scenario would turn around, pack it up, call it a day, and not even bother about finishing it. She turned around, came back, and continued to finish the day. Got through bench, got through deadlifts. Albeit, was the best we could have possibly done on the day? Maybe not. But the resiliency and perseverance to turn around and continue to push on was massive. Same with Dan. It's not easy to not live up to your own expectations of what you are capable of and what you are capable of. But he didn't let that get in his way of any of the other lifts. He came back out and fucking gave it a red hot crack as best as he possibly could, to just leave nothing on the table and no stone left unturned. And that's all I can ask for at the end of the day as a coach, is effort, consistency, and just having a fucking crack. So, yeah, that's basically the summary of APL Nats 2025. It's great to be in Melbourne. I got a couple of days downtime and spent some lovely time in the city. I love it down there. I'll definitely be back down soon. It reiterated how much I genuinely love powerlifting and reminded me why I continue to work with powerlifters despite the fact that I am not competing myself at this point in time. I just fucking love it. I genuinely love watching people surpass their own expectations, push themselves harder than they ever thought possible. And there's nothing better than being strong as fuck. It's just fucking fun. Like being strong, being able to lift with your mates, getting on the fucking platform and having a good day is what it is all about. I'm so excited for 2026 to see where APL takes it. I know that around that time is when they're going to be launching WPU officially, and there's, in the next 2 years or so, there's going to be Worlds, which means people can now go from Nationals to Worlds again and have like a further progression model to compete at and really hone their skills and put it to the test against the best of the best from all parts of the world. And I can't fucking wait. I'm going to be there every step of the way. I'm going to be taking athletes along. I'm going to be doing everything I can to keep pushing my coaching to be better. I'm going to be pushing my team to be better, continuing to grow the team to ensure that we can keep fucking turning up, having a crack, and enjoying the process. If you are interested in powerlifting, or you want to try and throw your hat in the ring at any form of comp, from a novice to fucking APL Nationals, any form of nationals, reach out, hit me up, send me a message. I fucking love working with clients who want to get strong, who want to compete. I have taken clients from never having touched a barbell before to a world level to worlds. I have had multiple podiums, multiple PBs, multiple fucking national records, couple of world records actually. Yeah, I fucking love it. I love it. Get at me, send me a message, reach out, have a chat, let's talk. If not, and you still listen to this episode and you really don't have any interest in it, fucking thanks heaps for listening. I appreciate you very, very much. That's it for me for today. I hope you have yourself a fantastic day, and I'll speak to you all again soon.